Okay, welcome back to my channel. So these are the ingredients that I will be using, which will be talked through the video and also listed in the description, of course. So I'm starting off with a box of white cake mix. I only had this Pillsbury, but Duncan Hines works the best. I can definitely say that. Okay, so I added in 4 eggs and 1 1/4 cup of milk, and I'm adding in a stick of butter. Now you can use melted butter, but if you do, definitely make sure that the butter is not hot because you don't want to put hot butter in your cake mix. So this butter was a frozen pack that I got out of the deep freezer, and I just went ahead and put it on melt on my microwave to make it soft. So I added a box of pudding mix. It was the strawberry shake flavor from Sonic. Okay, so today I am not using my stand mixer. I am using my hand mixer to make sure that everything gets mixed in together, or blended together, in other words. And so you don't want to overblend or overmix. So if you're using a wooden spoon or a regular whisk or even your stand mixer, do not overmix your cake. So once everything is together, it's done. Stop, okay? So I always pull it up a little bit and turn down the speed so that most of the cake or batter can get off of the little whiskers. I don't know what to call these things. So I'm using my spatula just to scrape the bottom and also around the edges just to mix everything up. And then I'm going to get the rest of the cake batter off of this as much as I can and off of these cake tools. But these were like the best growing up. Now, like, we are so careful about everything with our kids. I be telling my kids stories like, oh, we used to ride in the back of a pickup truck and my uncle used to do donuts in the police or nobody cared. But if you do that stuff now, you're going to jail, okay? Or it's child neglect. And so what I was going to say is we used to always eat the cake off the spoon or out the bowl or whatever. We still do it sometimes, side note. Okay, so my cake pans are always grease and flour them first. I just use some Crisco or some butter flavored Crisco, in other words, and I rubbed it all around, and then I dusted some flour in there and turned it upside down. So I am trying to make this as even as possible in these 8-inch pans, so that way that my layers are as even as possible. But if I wanted to be correct or specifically have the correct amount of batter in each one, I would have used a cup measure, the dry measuring cup measure, to just measure out a cup here and there and put it in one pan, put it in the other, just to make sure that it came out even. But again, eyeball. Alright, so I'm just going to shake and tap this up so that the cake moves about and evens out in a layer. And so I baked it at 350 degrees for about 28 minutes in my oven. Everybody's oven time is different. And now I have some parchment paper up under my rack. And I am going to put both on there. I let it set first though. So when these came out the oven, they did sit for about 6 minutes before I took them out the pan. Because I didn't want to burn my hand, and it was still hot and warm anyway to touch. And as you can see, that was my raggedy pan, and it still came out clean because that butter and flour, or that Crisco and flour, it never go wrong. So I am using my knife, and I am going to try to just go across and keep going straight across with both of the cakes lined together so that I can cut the same amount off the top. Not exactly off the top because we're splitting it down the middle because I am using all of this cake. Okay, so we're gonna have a 4-layer cake. Okay, so here is the caramel I made. So I have an 8-inch cake board here, and then I have my cake turnable. So I made this caramel, and I will post the video at the end and also link it somewhere at the top as well. So I hope you go and watch that video, or if you came from the video, let me know, because I posted both on the same day. Alright, so I'm going to spread a little caramel on the bottom of my cake board, so that way the cake doesn't just slide off. And I'm going to start off with the first layer, one of the bottom layers, because remember we have 2 bottoms and we have 2 tops. So I'm going to start with the bottom layer. And I thought about it, like I should have used a 10-inch cake board. So I decided to add a plate up under here, so that way as this caramel is dripping off, I can get it up and reapply it to the cake and then let it sit. Okay, so that's what you will see me doing throughout this process of adding this caramel frosting or icing to the cake. And when adding the icing in between each layer, just add enough to cover the cake. Don't pile it up. We might love caramel, we might love fatbacks or whatever, but do not pile it up. You want to just add enough because it can slide off. Your layers will be sliding off and having a lean. We do not want it to have a lean. Okay, so now I am going to put another layer on top and then go through the same process of just adding the icing to the top to cover it. Okay, you guys, so my caramel started to get a little bit thick. So what I did was, for my last layer, the top and around the edges, I put it back on the stove with just a little bit more evaporated milk, just a tablespoon, and I whisked it, used my whisk, until it blended in. I cannot talk, okay? I should have used a voice, a AI or something, but anyway, and I whisked it until it got thin enough for me to be able to spread it again, the way that I wanted to spread it. And I only put it back on the stove for about 3 or 4 minutes, watching it, and then I just let it set for a few minutes to cool off, because of course I didn't want to put the hot caramel on the cake. Of course, hot caramel is good on cake, but melt it in the microwave. Don't pour hot caramel on your cake. Alright, so now this is the portion I was telling you about. See, at first it was thicker, now it is much smoother. I was able to just pour it. I should have just poured it all, but it's easier this way. And baking is relaxing, so I like to do stuff in a relaxing way and take my time. Okay, you guys, I am just about done adding the caramel icing to this cake. And when I tell y'all, everybody been waiting all day. They have been waiting all day for something sweet, for some delicious caramel cake. Actually, we're going to call this a caramel strawberry cake, because remember I added the strawberry pudding because that's all I had, but I would normally add vanilla or a cheesecake pudding mix. Alright, so this is it. I let it set for a little bit, and then I was like scraping the caramel off the plate and reapplying it to the sides of my cake. And then I decided to get a spatula and scoop it from the bottom and put it on my cake, on my cake turnover. I'm like, that green plate was just so ugly. Alright, so after we ate dinner, y'all had seen my burger sauce that was all to the side. A little bit earlier, we ate some patty melt burgers, and my way, in other words. And so now it is dessert time, and I am going to give this first piece to one of my daughters so that you guys are able to see the inside and you can see the caramel in between each layer. It is absolutely delicious. You cannot go wrong with this recipe. It's so simple, so easy, and if you make it, let me know. Thanks for watching, and see you later.